Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. This is indeed an important hearing. I want to start with this. It was said earlier today that President Trump wants our parks and museums to tell an inaccurate story of American history. So I believe it's incumbent upon us to begin by actually thinking about the story of American history and whether what we pursue here today is in fact in any way inaccurate. We've learned that the museum has a number of directives, goals, things that we've heard about this morning, one of which in our materials is the interpretive plan to frame exhibits and curate exhibits, whatever the topic, to include a discussion of things such as race and identity, gender and sexuality, environmental change, immigration, economic inequality. And so I'd like to start with you, Mr. Gonzalez, and get back to the idea of what is an accurate or inaccurate story of American history. Would it be an inaccurate presentation of American history if our museum instead made an effort to present to those who came to see it an interpretation that involved our founding documents like the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the separation of powers? Would that be an inaccurate telling of American history to focus on those things?
Representative Lee, no, it wouldn't. I actually agreed with almost everything Representative Morelli said, except until the part you got to the Smithsonian. I think all of history should be presented. The horrors of slavery, the absolute blight that this was on our history, but also the fact that the founders created this system to deal with it, that men marched, to the tune, the battle hymn of the Republic, saying, as he died to make men holy, let us die to make them free. That inspiring story also needs to be part of the horrors of slavery.
Correct. Not just our failures and our shortcomings, but also the efforts that were made to correct them. And now what about this? Would it also be an important part of American history to celebrate American innovation, enterprise, scientific achievement, and economic opportunity?
Absolutely, yes.
And would it also be an appropriate thing for our institutions and our museums to be focusing on the military service, sacrifice, and defense of freedom that we have seen in our country throughout history?
They should be presented as well, their triumphs, and the curators in the museum should not go out of its way every time to smear every one of these triumphs.
And a note on the curators. I note in your written testimony that one of the things that you presented for our consideration was an assessment of the political party affiliation of museum directors and curators in America. Would it be accurate to say that not just the majority, the vast majority of museum directors, curators, conservators, historians, and administrators are actually Democrats?
Yes, that is a Verdun Lab study which shows quite how much to the left all the professions related to museums are, but it's the job of leadership to guide them, to check their biases. It is, in fact, the leadership of the Smithsonian has been doing exactly the opposite, has been training them not to check their bias, but to act on their biases.
And to your knowledge, is there any objective metric, standard, audit, outside group that is considering the presentation of these exhibits and whether, in fact, bias exists?
Yes, I believe private individuals have tried to do
private individuals,
exactly
but not within the museum.
Well, the administration did ask the Smithsonian to cooperate with an audit, and the Smithsonian pretty much refused. It refused to hand over the materials that that had been asked for. It handed some things, but not to the degree that Rose Vogt at OMB and Vince Haley at the Domestic Policy Council had asked for.
Now, a question for you, Dr. Hardig. Since 2019, you have donated to political advocacy groups and campaigns over 350 times, according to information pulled from the FEC. Is that correct?
Ma'am, I am not here. Whoops, is that on? Yeah. Ma'am, my political beliefs or my political contributions are not relevant to this conversation.
And of these hundreds of donations since you've been leading the museum, have all of them occurred while you were off duty and off of government premises, in your private time?
I adhere completely to the Hatch Act, so the answer is yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.